Hello, I'm Komal Sharma and you're listening to the Lounge Podcast, a weekly show about movies, music, art and culture. On today's show, we talk about the rise of stand-up comedy in India. We'll be joined by funny man Sanjay Rajoura, someone who left behind his software engineering job and discovered that making people laugh is his calling. He tells us how comedy is just another form of expression, like films, art or music, but it has to have a point. Later in the show, we'll discuss a whole different medium of expression. That's the Deconstruction Project. It's a result of a photographer and an architect getting together, and as the name suggests, they deconstruct existing processes, labels, categories, resulting in 10 photo art installations. We'll find out more about that later in the show. So first, let's go over to Sanjay Rajoura, who's currently touring with Costa Coffee's La Fuccino, an 8-part series of stand-up comedy acts over coffee. This happens every Friday at one of Costa's cafes. Let's find out what Sanjay has to say. Hi Sanjay, welcome to the Lounge Podcast.
Thank you, Komal. Thank you for inviting me to the show.
So for starters, tell our listeners a little about yourself. How did you chance upon comedy and that too as a career?
It was just by chance. I never intended to get into this. I was, in fact, working in America. And I quit the job. At that time, I didn't know what else to do.
You were a software engineer, I believe.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I was.
Okay.
So when I came back, I didn't know what else to do. I had no plans. I just knew what I didn't want to do, and that was my previous job. And at that time, comedy was just starting to happen in Delhi.
Right.
So I was one of the first performers performing open mics happening. And then one thing led into another. I enjoyed it. People liked it. And so I was at the right place at the right time, I guess.
Right. Like, you yourself said that comedy has sort of taken on in Delhi, and which seems to be the truth that in the last couple of months it's taken on even in Bombay and the other metros. Why do you think that's happening? Is it because, there are venues like Comedy Store, or I think Blue Frog has a comedy night now, Costa Coffee is doing it, or are we just laughing a lot more at ourselves now?
First of all, even I am struggling to find the answer that why this boom has happened. I guess like a lot of other things, people just tend to follow the trend. So I really personally don't know why it's booming so much, but it's just that a lot of people are discovering that this is also a form of entertainment.
Right.
And people are coming to listen to people, and everybody likes to laugh, have a good laugh. And of course, there are venues who have understood the fact that this thing is happening, so they're catching on it. But why this is happening, it's a topic of research actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a good thing that it's happening, so we're fine there. I feel personally that comedy is the toughest genre to do, and if we look at our popular cinema, it's rare that a good, really intelligent and funny movie comes along. It's usually something slapstick or it's just plain obscene. What do you have to say about that?
See, I do not personally subscribe to a lot of comedy that is happening either in our films or in real life live comedy shows. I don't subscribe to that. I don't find that very entertaining particularly. That's why I appreciate, La Fuccino, because they really understood my point of view, where I'm coming from and what I want to do. See, comedy is not just about cracking jokes and making people laugh.
Right.
There has to be a point. Otherwise, it all becomes a Sajid Khan film. It doesn't have a point and just is full of all slapstick humor.
Right.
So, and I'm glad that there are people and venues and options like La Fuccino, which the third show I'm doing tonight, that they really appreciate this and understand that, there has to be a point. And
so do you pick up from like real life issues, life around you, what's happening every day? Is that what you're trying to say?
We can't talk about an alien planet, or we have to talk about real life. Right, and there's a lot happening, particularly in our country. There are a lot of stories which need to be told.
Right.
Right, whether you make a film out of it, or you write a book out of it, or do poetry, or do comedy.
Okay.
So, pointless book, or a pointless film, or a pointless comedy doesn't appeal to me.
Okay, that's interesting there. So, Coffee Gehri Baatein by Costa Coffee is happening tonight, right? At 8 p.m. at Costa Coffee. That's Malviya Nagar, New Delhi. Right. Where can we expect to see you next?
Well, I'm doing 8 shows with Costa for this La Fuccino thing.
Okay.
This Coffee Gehri Baatein. Today's the third show. So next couple of Fridays, every Friday there is a show. somewhere at Coastal location.
Okay.
I don't know the venues yet. You can check at Book My Show. Yeah.
All right. That sounds interesting. Thanks so much for talking to us, Sanjay.
Thank you, Komal. Thank you. All the best.
Bye-bye. Next, let's go over to Thiru Murugan, who is a photographer, and Vikrant Sharma, an architect, and their deconstruction project. Hi Thiru and Vikrant, welcome to the Lounge podcast.
Hi Komal. Hi.
Hi. So to begin with, tell our listeners about what the deconstruction project is all about.
See, it's an experimental art with photography. That is how I would like to summarize it. To put it very simply, this is not a photography exhibition. It is what we're trying to do over here is taking the essence of these photographs and trying to deconstruct it in a way where we simplify the meaning and present it in a way where, it becomes a sensory experience.
Okay, and I believe there are 10 photo art installations. So take us through, let's say, the process. I mean, to begin with, it's called deconstruction project. So I believe there must be a sort of deconstructing of processes or how you put things together or to look at them differently. So if you could briefly give us an idea of how, you got this idea first and how you put it together.
See, we've literally deconstructed our photographs and we've tried to go beyond the surface meaning. And basically try and interpret all the different meanings each photograph connotes into a 3D installation.
Okay, and is there a sort of, I get the sense of being a non-conformist or trying to blur the lines between, different labels, that this is art, this is architecture, and this is photography?
Yeah, this is where, because Thiru being a photographer and I'm an architect, and we both share interests. Like Thiru has an interest in architecture and I share a keen interest in photography.
Right.
So there was a clear kind of common ground that we had whilst we were working on it. And looking at Thiru's photographs, that was the starting point, you see. I mean, all the years that he's been shooting his trips. And we realized whilst we were going through these photographs that, these photographs have a lot of meaning. Some you just perceive them as just a visual, as just a fleeting glance. Now, we didn't want to stop there. We wanted to take it forward, take a meaning forward, create something, take it out of the picture, and see how we can actually make the user experience that little meaning that can be behind an image. So these installations are interactive in nature.
Okay.
Most of them are interactive in nature.
Okay.
So the audience, interact with it and then to get a feel of the essence of the photograph. This is all about touch, feel, see, hear. It's about the senses. You see a photograph, you look at it, it's there on the wall. But again, that is just one aspect to it. We're taking that aspect further over here. That is why we're saying we're deconstructing a photograph to see what we can do with it. I was saying we've also created music for the show, which is going to take forward the sensory experience, which you mentioned.
Okay, so it seems like that kind of a thing which we don't need to talk so much about. We need to go and see it and experience it differently. Okay, thanks so much, Thiru and Vikrant, for talking to us.
Thank you so much, Kamal. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The deconstruction project begins tomorrow morning. That's Saturday, September 1st, 2012 at Allianz Francaise in Delhi. The exhibition will be on till the 4th of September. Thanks for listening in. That's all we have for you today. Do write to us at feedback@livemint.com. Bye-bye.